Fuck. It's the West Coast. This is the first time for me. I'm glad I can say that in a bookstore. That's great. Okay, I hope you guys bear with me. As Zarina said, Sandy and I've had a little bit of sore throat ever since, so be patient, okay? The first piece, I'm going to do 3 short pieces. The first is called Playing the Dutch Waiter in Last Position. I fold. No more good writers, no more good writing, no more solace in waking up in a stranger. No more shame in not enough money for a drink, no more liver left to seek splendor from regardless. No more form, no style, no tricks, no body, no muses, no great American novel, Franson's doing just fine. No more scanning the obituaries for Cohen or Kundera, no more gratitude, no more live shows, no more looking for her in the audience. No more autodidacts or clairaudience or daft aesthetes of the blogosphere. No more critics, no more advances, no more binding contracts. No more grievances, no more heritage at all. No history, no roots, no inspiration, surely. No old, no new, I fold. My head is like a chimney and my stomach churns with a jagged hatred mixed with acid reflux in recent mornings, feeling like John Kennedy Toole making roguish cocktail banter in the limbo cabaret about Snooki's book contract with Simon & Schuster. And then I get a phone call about a new bit of verse overdue. And out of spite like an overdose, I'll sit around like Christian chastity and manage to write a new epic poem, sagely titled, Fist Fucking a Republican. Okay. This next one is called For the Girl Who Likes Scarlet Begonias and the Way I Cook My Omelets. And no, this is not like a long ode to the Grateful Dead or anything, so don't be worried. Where is she, my anesthetic, my romantic genocide? Is she a powder now, a liquid or a pill? A smokestack swallowed underneath the tribe? Is she in the communes of Quickie, in the hills of Calvary, or maybe in Berlin, or St. Petersburg, or the island of Lesbos, or Istanbul where Constantine tried his bloody hand at devotion? Maybe Portland, Stockholm, Venice, Berkeley. Is she in splendor, or has she been substituted for the bedded coin? Is she handing out pamphlets at Chomsky's door like propaganda of manufacturing consent, or is she grieving her restless childhood alone? Is she voyage, or has she finally become the port? No anxiety or no imagination, so we strive breathlessly for the new blue paradox like an ambitious spermatozoan, like a theatrical flash of dawning melancholy. I lightly bite her bottom lip as I slip my tongue inside her. We fuse as we have done before, in editorial fashion. We combine to soften, in rough process, until we feel unencumbered and exhausted, one and another to return to the path along which Venus fell, so brilliantly in a mistaken tender waltz. Our morning becomes the shameful daylight, a silent cup of coffee gracefully handled by fidgeting hands hoisted by tender muscles, and enervated fagged saints, still stoned, left empty for further voyeurism. But while we are still unchained and strong, we might as well have another go, before destroying our own conclusion like an angry Sibelius, before declining further rewrites and getting fully numb, before we're left with simply being polite. So while aroused, as though you were the woman in Blas's water, let me put my palm on your knee underneath your skirt, and venture forth like a hedonistic crusader should, firmly committed to convincing himself that our repetition always turned out well. I think the dog likes it, right? Okay. I got a new fan in San Francisco. For Further Courtship, this is the last one. Please deal with it. I actually decided to end on this one because it seems like it's about everything and nothing at the same time, but it's much better than Seinfeld. No syndication deal yet. For Further Courtship. And if I wasn't a pussy, I'd call it a cunt. And there would be miracles and births, and there would be, and then I would stoop to making quips with only a little wine. Good stupor is better than good humor after all. It was said, this is what killed Dylan Thomas besides the whiskey and amphetamines in New York and bad doctors and troubles and a mean Welsh demeanor and longing like morning, and when Greenwich Village was gold and lacking the rambling sense and obliteration into some symphonic reincarnating ellipsis, and everything else that could be important but never seemed as such, and all I want is a comfortable pair of slippers and a tall glass of single malt scotch that never seems to end with some ice for the throbbing in my head. Not delusions of talent, but delusions of being able to write, like delusions of delving space, like rancorous self-importance preached subtly. And then what would be left? And then there would be a common bit of silver ebbing off the tongue. And then where would we stray? And then who would we become? And then what would be then? And Neil Cassidy could probably write if he wasn't so pretty, and I would be more than slightly upset if you compare me to Kerouac. And where is it written that I have to stand here, holding onto this plastic strap, riding to courtyards overridden with tenements and cocaine and languid horizons and blues resung and some other bullshit that I'll carelessly mention at a later time. And I do really like that measured death, like that woman's legs, as much as I like iodized salt sold cheap at the supermarket because it garnishes so well. And it's all really a dreary fog elevating, where someone mentions Alexander Pope or something out of Milton and you jump up to mention a tenet to elaborate upon. Executed wildly with profuse veins stemming to daylight perfused in a poetic fashion. And then there's a utility cigar, and a particularly pretty girl with auburn hair that lights it for you, and her eyes water with abandoned sentiment and warm wishes. And this is not my last letter written. We all seemed so happy for a while as was assumed. There was no stench and no smell in particular in the city, and then you forget the last beating, and then you become enamored once again in each step you take on the pavement, reminding you by the old honor of blistered feet and a notebook full of passerbys dressed in passing smiles and dusky suits cast by ash that's payable by overtime rates, time and a half. And then she was strong and took all there was to give, and there was no new spring to drown. And then you're mindless of the curtains, and the cigarette wave casts a stain burning through, and then the sunshine flows in when you don't expect it. And it's all fine, like flinching at a compliment that seems egregious. And then we drink in the afternoon because the celebration is called for. And then there is nothing left to be expected because nothing can be that important. Thank you, San Francisco.